Stop everything you think you know about athletes. Forget LeBron James, forget Michael Jordan, forget every name that comes to mind when someone asks you who the greatest athlete in history was, because none of them are the answer. The answer is a man most people under 30 have never heard of. And the reason they have never heard of him is because the NFL erased him from existence before he could finish proving what everyone already suspected. Bo Jackson was not human. That is not hyperbole, that is not exaggeration. That is the only explanation for what he did on fields across America in the 1980s. He ran faster than men who trained their entire lives to run fast. He hit baseballs harder than players who did nothing but hit baseballs. He broke tackles that should have been impossible to break. He made throws that physics said could not be made. Two professional sports simultaneously at an elite level in both. Nobody had ever done it before, nobody has done it since, and nobody ever will. Because Bo Jackson was a glitch in human genetics, a mistake in the code, an accident of biology that produced something the world was not prepared to witness. The NFL saw this creature and made a decision. If we cannot control him, we will destroy him. And that is exactly what they did. You need to understand something before we go any further. Bo Jackson did not need football. He did not grow up dreaming of the NFL. He did not watch games on Sunday and imagine himself scoring touchdowns. Football was simply one of many things his body could do better than anyone else. Baseball was his first love. From the time he was a child in Bessemer, Alabama, Bo Jackson swung a bat with violence that terrified opposing players. By high school, professional scouts were following him like predators tracking prey. They knew this young man was special. They knew he would become a star. But there was a problem. Bo was also the most dominant football player anyone had ever seen at the high school level. He rushed for over 4,000 yards. He scored 43 touchdowns in one season. College programs across America begged him to come play for them. He chose Auburn University, and for 4 years, he destroyed everything in his path. At Auburn, Bo Jackson became a legend that still haunts the Southeastern Conference. He won the Heisman Trophy in 1985. He rushed for over 4,000 career yards. He scored 43 touchdowns. Defenders who tried to tackle him described the experience as running into a truck that was somehow also faster than a sports car. His combination of size, speed, and power had never existed in one body before. 6 feet 1 inch tall, 230 pounds, a 40-yard dash time under 4.2 seconds. Those numbers should not be possible together. Human bodies are not supposed to carry that much muscle while moving that fast. The laws of physics should have prevented Bo Jackson from existing, but he existed, and everyone wanted him. The 1986 NFL Draft was approaching. Bo Jackson was the consensus #1 pick. Every team in football wanted the chance to build their franchise around this superhuman. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers held the first selection, and they were about to make the most disgraceful decision in draft history. The Buccaneers knew Bo Jackson preferred baseball. They knew he had told reporters that football was not his priority. They knew he planned to play professional baseball regardless of what happened in the NFL draft. But Tampa Bay did not care what Bo wanted. They cared about control. Before the draft, the Buccaneers organization flew Bo Jackson to Tampa on a private jet. They told him it was for a physical examination. They told him it was routine. They told him there was nothing to worry about. They lied. The NCAA rules violated. Bo Jackson did not know this at the time. He trusted that the professional franchise flying him across the country understood the regulations. He assumed they would not deliberately put his college eligibility at risk. He was wrong. When the NCAA discovered what Tampa Bay had done, they declared Bo Jackson ineligible for his final season of college baseball. His amateur status was revoked. His dream of playing one more year at Auburn was destroyed. The Buccaneers had sabotaged him intentionally.
They believed that by eliminating his college baseball option, they would force him to sign with their football team. They believed they could manipulate this young man into compliance. They believed they could control the most gifted athlete on the planet. Bo Jackson responded with 2 words: absolutely not. The Buccaneers drafted Bo Jackson first overall despite knowing he would refuse to sign. They gambled that his competitive nature would eventually force him to accept their offer. They gambled that the money would be too tempting to refuse. They gambled that he would forgive their betrayal. They gambled wrong. Bo Jackson never played a single snap for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Instead, he signed with the Kansas City Royals and began his professional baseball career. He walked away from the NFL entirely. He chose integrity over money. He chose principle over fame. The Buccaneers wasted the first overall pick on a player who refused to reward their treachery. And Bo Jackson started hitting baseballs out of stadiums across America. For 2 years, Bo Jackson played only baseball. He made the All-Star team. He hit home runs that traveled distances fans had never witnessed. He threw runners out from the warning track with a cannon that seemed surgically attached to his shoulder. But something was missing. Football still called to him. The violence, the competition, the feeling of breaking through defenders who thought they could stop him. Bo Jackson missed the gridiron. In 1987, the Los Angeles Raiders made him an offer that changed everything. They told Bo he could play both sports. They told him he could join the Raiders after baseball season ended and play football for as long as his body held up. They told him they would accommodate his schedule. They told him they valued his talent more than they valued control. The Raiders offered Bo Jackson something Tampa Bay never could:
respect. Bo signed the contract, and for the next 3 years, he did what nobody believed was possible. Imagine playing professional baseball from April through October, 162 games, thousands of swings, hundreds of defensive plays, the grind of a full major league season that exhausts players who do nothing else. Now imagine finishing that season and immediately joining an NFL roster. No rest, no recovery, no time for your body to heal from the cumulative damage of professional athletics. Bo Jackson did this every single year. He would play his final baseball game in October, then travel to Los Angeles and suit up for the Raiders within days. His body never fully recovered from one sport before he began destroying it in another. And he dominated anyway. In 1989, Bo Jackson ran for over 900 yards in just 11 games. He averaged 5.5 yards per carry. He scored 4 touchdowns. Those numbers are remarkable for a full-time running back. Bo achieved them while playing half a season after completing an entire baseball campaign. His highlights became legendary. The run against Seattle, where he raced past the entire defense, ran through the tunnel and disappeared into the locker room. The trucking of Brian Bosworth that became the most replayed clip in sports history. The impossible angles, the inhuman speed, the collisions that should have injured him but somehow injured everyone else. Bo Jackson was proving that he was not subject to the same limitations as ordinary humans, and the NFL was running out of time to stop him. January 13th, 1991. A divisional playoff game between the Los Angeles Raiders and the Cincinnati Bengals. Bo Jackson takes a handoff and accelerates toward the sideline. A Bengal linebacker named Kevin Walker approaches at an angle. The collision is routine. Thousands of similar tackles happen every NFL Sunday. But something goes wrong. As Walker wraps up Bo Jackson, their bodies twist awkwardly. Bo's hip rotates in a direction it was never designed to rotate. The force travels through his femur and into the socket that connects his leg to his pelvis. Something breaks.
Bo Jackson limps off the field. The injury does not look catastrophic. Players leave games with hip pointers every week and return without issue. But this is different. The damage is invisible and devastating. Bo's hip is not bruised, it is dying. The blood supply to his femoral head has been severed. Without blood, the bone tissue is decaying with every passing hour. A condition called avascular necrosis has begun consuming the joint that allows him to run. The fastest man in professional sports is being eaten alive from the inside, and nobody realizes it yet. The Raiders released Bo Jackson before the truth emerged. They discarded him like damaged equipment, no loyalty for the man who had given them the most electrifying highlights in franchise history, no patience for an athlete who had sacrificed his body trying to do the impossible. Bo Jackson was alone. The Royals kept him on their roster, hoping the injury would heal. Bo attempted to return to baseball, but his body no longer cooperated. The hip that had allowed him to run faster than any human alive was now grinding bone against bone with every step. In 1992, Bo Jackson underwent hip replacement surgery.
A titanium joint was installed where bone and cartilage used to be. Doctors told him his career was over. They told him no athlete had ever returned to professional sports after this procedure. They told him to accept reality. Bo Jackson refused to listen. In 1993, he returned to professional baseball with the Chicago White Sox on a hip made of metal. He hit a home run on his first swing. The crowd erupted. Teammates rushed to greet him. For one shining moment, it seemed like Bo Jackson might defy the impossible one more time. But his body had limits that even his will could not overcome. He played sparingly over the next 2 seasons. The power was still there in flashes. The arm was still capable of brilliance. But the speed that had defined his career was gone forever. Bo Jackson retired in 1994. He was 31 years old. Let me explain exactly how the NFL destroyed Bo Jackson. It was not one moment. It was a system designed to consume him. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers started the destruction by sabotaging his college eligibility. They treated him like property instead of a person. They attempted to manipulate him into compliance using tactics that violated basic ethics. When that failed, the NFL structure continued the assault. Bo Jackson was never given adequate time to recover between sports. The Raiders benefited from his talents without protecting his body. They watched him arrive every October with accumulated damage from a full baseball season and immediately threw him into the violence of professional football. His hip was already weakened before Kevin Walker ever touched him. The years of running on 2 different surfaces, the years of sliding into bases and cutting through defensive lines, the years of asking one body to perform the jobs of 2 elite athletes. The injury was not an accident. It was an inevitability that the NFL chose to ignore because Bo Jackson was too valuable to rest. The question that haunts everyone who watched Bo Jackson play is simple. What if? What if Tampa Bay had treated him with respect instead of manipulation? What if he had entered the NFL with a franchise that valued him as a partner instead of a possession? What if the Raiders had limited his football workload to protect his long-term health? What if someone had demanded he take time between sports to let his body recover? What if that tackle had happened at a slightly different angle? What if his hip had twisted 1 degree less? What if the blood supply had remained intact? What would Bo Jackson have become? The numbers suggest something terrifying. In limited action, playing only partial seasons, Bo Jackson was already among the most explosive players in football. His per-game averages projected to over 1,500 rushing yards if he had played full seasons. Combined with his baseball career, he was on pace to become the only athlete in history to make all-star teams in 2 major professional sports. And he was just entering his prime. The version of Bo Jackson we witnessed was operating at a fraction of his potential. He was tired. He was overworked.
He was never given the opportunity to show what his body could do at full capacity. The version we never saw might have been the greatest athlete in human history. But we will never know, because the NFL destroyed him before he could finish proving it.
Today, Bo Jackson lives quietly in suburban Chicago. He rarely gives interviews. He avoids the spotlight that once followed him everywhere. He has made peace with what happened, or at least he claims to have made peace. But there are moments when the truth emerges. In interviews, his voice changes when he discusses the injury. His eyes shift when reporters ask about what might have been. The pain is still there, buried beneath decades of acceptance. He knows what was stolen from him. He knows that his body was capable of achievements that would have redefined athletic greatness. He knows that the NFL system chewed him up and spit him out before he reached his ceiling. And he knows that nobody will ever replicate what he did, because nobody will ever be foolish enough to try playing two professional sports simultaneously again. Bo Jackson was not just rare. He was singular. The tragedy of Bo Jackson is not just personal. It is cultural. An entire generation missed the opportunity to witness sustained greatness from the most gifted athlete ever born. Young fans who worship LeBron James and Patrick Mahomes have never seen footage of Bo Jackson running through professional defenses like they were made of paper. His legend exists in grainy highlights and aging memories. That is not enough. Bo Jackson deserved decades of dominance. He deserved to retire on his own terms, with records that would never be broken. He deserved to be mentioned in every conversation about athletic greatness without the asterisk of injury attached. Instead, he received 4 years of part-time football and a hip made of metal. The next time someone asks you who the greatest athlete in history was, do not hesitate. Say Bo Jackson. And when they ask why they have never heard of him, tell them the truth. The NFL could not control him, so they destroyed him. Tampa Bay tried to manipulate him and failed. The league's structure exhausted him without protection. A routine tackle finished what years of neglect had started. Bo Jackson did not lose his career to bad luck. He lost it to a system that valued entertainment over human preservation. He lost it to owners who saw him as a commodity instead of a person. He lost it to a sport that took everything he offered and gave nothing back. They will tell you it was just an injury. They are lying. It was a destruction. And football should never be forgiven for what it stole from the world.